Hey guys, Slater Magic here, and I've been playing on X-Page non-stop testing my decks, and I have a huge win percentage, but there's one deck that I keep losing to, and it's not even a deck, it's a type, it's an archetype, it's an overall strategy, and that's never a good thing. I mean, I have a ridiculous win percentage with the Candy Cane Raceway deck because, I mean, hello, win on turn 4. I mean, like, you can't normally just stop that. I mean, you gotta almost be lucky to stop that. Unfortunately, it's still technically a combo deck, so it's not great. You know, any kind of removal, like serious removal and disruption and, you know, flares and bounces and all that, it's really, really, really bad. There's technically only, including the fetch, 10 or 11, depending upon what deck list you use, what do you call it? Like auras, like the actual auto-crewing auras. That's all there is in the deck. So, if you draw 2 or 3 in a game and they have 2 or 3 removals, that's it. But the deck's so damn fast, though. Like, if they think, oh, okay, I can stop them long term, it's going to take them a while to build up to this, and then you just kill them on turn 4 with a boat, I mean, there you go. So it's still an okay matchup, but there's so many just draw-go decks out there where they'll drop a land, wait, drop a land, wait, drop a land, wait, and then they're all set to play any kind of counterspell for 3. I mean, hell, they could play, you know, select for inspection for 1. I mean, it's really bad. Like, there's really flexible control in blue. It seems basically everybody's mixing blue. I don't even know why people are playing Delirium anymore. It's not a good deck. It is very beatable by what I'm seeing. There's going to be a huge shift away from this, you know, green-black snakes garbage and Delirium. They can't stand up to what I'm seeing people play. There's this new net deck going around. You can't really call it that because the definition of a net deck is a deck that you copied from a tournament list, the top couple, you know. So unless you're running Sihili Rai or one of the other ones from the SCG, I mean, the Pro Tour didn't even happen yet. But people are bouncing around ideas on forums and improving each other's decks and, you know, coming together to ruin the game. And, you know, welcome to the internet. Nothing you can do about that. It seems one archetype is floating to the top, and it's deeply concerning because it is toxic as hell. It is impossible to play against. And it's not just the power level, it's no fun to play against. I mean, nobody, you know, minds a good shootout. Like, you know, if it's like a zippy deck versus a zippy deck and let's all attack each other and see who draws what and I'm on the edge of my seat, you know, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if there's like, hi, welcome to you don't get to play Magic, that's a little bit of a problem. And the phrase you don't get to play Magic or your opponent doesn't get to play Magic, that is a term used by the staff at Wizards. So I didn't make that up. Okay, I did make it up, and then I found out they used the same term, but whatever. So basically, either white-blue or red-white-blue. That's what people are going for. And honestly, you don't really need the red. I mean, the direct removal, you could just bounce and counter. I mean, people add in red just for certain specific cards. Usually, you know, Sihili Rai and the Felidar Guardian. But as soon as that gets banned, because I think we all know it will, people are probably just going to go to white-blue. I mean, you maybe could put in black if you absolutely needed, like, fatal push. You know, that would be, like, the ultimate, you know, stopper right there. But there's so much, I mean, contingency plan and anticipate. And it's at the point where with the passive card draw triggers and the passive scry, just ETB scry, you don't need any kind of contingency plan. You don't need to look ahead 5. Because, no joke, most of my opponents were pulling 5 to 10 cards per turn. That's not good, because you could realistically go 30 control cards, 10 creatures. I mean, okay, I wouldn't, because your land base would be garbage, but you get it. You could go 28, 10, and reasonably win the game. I mean, you could have these absurd percentages, just stupid percentages like that, and it would actually work out. It's a working deck, because you can keep feeding it. So basically, if you haven't caught on, control is out of control. And whenever control gets out of control, you don't get to play anything else. And that's really bad. Now, I'm a control player. I almost always play control. Once in a while, I'll make a clever drag race deck, you know, that just tries to outspeed them and win. You know, Mr. Nibbles, Candy Cane Raceway, you know, those are all win on turn 4 stuff. But I don't like those. I don't like non-interactive decks where I just try to get my combo off. I mean, nobody does. I mean, that deck had a little bit of, like, ambush, like block ambush boost, but not really. I mean, that's, like, win on turn 4 is kind of equivalent to you don't get to play your deck, you don't get to play Magic, and nobody likes that. Even Mark Rosewater said that is so freaking toxic. It's so bad. They try to get away from that. Anything, he even said draw go, which is what people are playing right now. Except it's like, draw, I'm going to do some stuff with half of my 10 mana, then go, and then 5 mana worth of counter spells and bounce back to hand Celestial Flare clones. So that's really bad. I mean, that's, and then you add in like Spell Queller and it's just over, which actually like nobody's playing. I found that really weird. Must have just been the people I was playing. I'm sure it'll make its way into the deck at some point. I mean, come on. A counter spell plus a creature in a deck that barely runs creatures and has mad draw, yeah, you're going to want that. So the problem is, how the hell do you ban this? I mean, half of it's like Panharmonicon, and if you don't start with it in your opening hand, you might not get your whole, cascading, I'm drawing 10 cards per turn thing going. And then, you don't get your 1 land drop per turn, and you don't get your early game control. You risk losing on turn 5 or 6. But, then it's like, oh, I'll drop this in and draw 1 card. Or, instead of 2 cards, I'll draw 1. Oh, look, I just drew my Panharmonicon. I mean, you can draw your way into it. It's like the problem fixes itself. It scales up. So, I mean, what are they going to do? Ban Panharmonicon? It wouldn't even be enough. They would, like, no joke, have to ban, like, 10 cards to stop control. They would just have to kill off everything that's drawn. Now, there's 2 archetypes that I've seen. Now, they both run blue. They run the dirt cheap counter spells, the stop everything, the disallow, summary dismissal even, sometimes. I mean, they keep it kind of cheaper than that. They run the mana leak clones, which is stupid because they draw the game out. I mean, people got to fine-tune this, obviously. But, I mean, you got your turn aside, your essence flux, and I think there's one that costs 1 that stops any instant. So you can keep your stuff alive if you really need it. Or you could just draw past it and just replace them all. I mean, it's like, who cares? And there's so much, look at the top X, grab X, put the rest on the bottom of your deck. Artifacts, creatures, go fetch creatures, free cast, 2-for-1 specials. I mean, you could just keep that deck rolling. One of the worst ones is the artifact dumper, and sometimes they go with dirt cheap artifacts, but then blue control to stall out. Not a real high amount of it. They have a backup condition where they could win by just swinging with like 4 bone saws on something. But it's Aetherflux Reservoir. They get to 50 and then they bomb you for 50. I mean, it's real simple. And then they just stall in the meantime, board wipe, whatever they need to do. Then there's another one that uses servos and fabricate and that kind of thing. It's a little bit better, I would say, and it basically just dumps out servos, uses improvise, draws cards. I mean, just non-stop card draw, especially with that broken as hell Treasure Cruise level garbage where you get 3 cards for 2 mana if you have 3 artifacts on the field, which you do. And then you can just keep feeding it. You summon even more servos, and then you either swarm them or you improvise out something huge, or they run that Inspiring Statuary and just cast whatever the hell they want, Ulamog, whatever. The win condition is up to them. They're basically running Tron at that point. So a little bit slower. It's based on improvise, but you guys get it. And the whole time they can make it happen. They can defend themselves completely with just a handful of counter spells and bounce and just whatever they need. And then they tweak it during the second game for the sideboard. If they're running too many counter spells and need more removal and bounce, there you go. If they need a board wipe, they put in a board wipe. I mean, whatever. It's all blue-white or just mono-blue. And then there's a third one, and this is some toxic crap. We're talking white-blue Panharmonicon super trigger cloning. So you got your Filigree Familiar, the fox, where you draw cards, gain life. Then you've got the flying dude that gains life and draws 2 cards, except he draws 4 cards. Oh, look, I have 2 Panharmonicons now. He draws 6 cards. I mean, this guy literally drew 1, then drew 3, then drew 6. He actually ended the game with 7 cards in his hand. He almost milled himself out. So he drew his entire deck in about 14 turns. Does that seem a little bad when you're playing against white removal and blue removal with counterspells? I mean, you literally have a hand full of counterspells at any given time, like 5 to 7, no joke. And then they're swinging with stuff like Gisela. So, I mean, it's really messed up. That deck is so bad. They could literally just swing with the Fox and then swing with that crappy little 2/2 flyer that costs like 5 and get away with it. Like, because you don't have anything left on the field. They removed everything. The real problem with that one is Baral's Expertise. It's like, yeah, it costs 5, but they have 5 on turn 5, so who cares? They can return up to 3 creatures or artifacts to your hand. It is over. You are never going to catch up. You're already behind on board presence. You're already behind on mana. You're already behind on control and delay power. Now you're behind on board presence, so you just lost the game. There is no coming back from that spell. And then, like I said, engulf the shore if it gets crazy. Crush of Tentacles, they can pay surge, it doesn't matter. It's just bad. It's impossible to play against, and it beats everything, literally everything in the meta right now. If you can counter every single spell and remove every single permanent reliably, there is, by definition, nothing that can stop it. And then, of course, there's like 2 creatures with hexproof right now. Maybe 1, actually. There's 0 creatures with hexproof that people care about or play. I know that to be a fact. So they would have to ban Burrell's Expertise, the Triple Draw, Panharmonicon. I mean, they'd have to get rid of like the whole damn block. I mean, let's be honest. They'd have to get rid of everything they did, all the mechanics. They'd have to just admit that it was a disaster. So they're not going to do that. They're going to make it look like they're doing something by getting rid of Felidar, but great. I mean, now control's just going to dominate. I mean, it just doesn't matter. Blue-white is going to be everything. I would invest heavily in blue-white lands because they are going to be unstoppable. And once again, there's plenty of people commenting that I'm right. I'd say about 75%, even in the X-Mage chat, they're like, yeah, I've been playing all day. This is a joke at this point, and they've just given up on standard. 25% of people are like, no, you're complaining too much. It's not as bad as you think. You just don't like control, which everybody knows I like control, okay? That's not a secret. Obviously, I don't like playing against it, but, you get it. Some people can tolerate control heavy, especially with all the infinite combos, obviously, which is why they went so control heavy. Like, they know what is going to be big. They know, for the most part, when they're testing what people are going to try to play, and they thought, okay, insane combos, super fast games, and then we'll beef up control to stop it. So it's a nice little, play what you want kind of thing. And then the infinite combos are oppressive and win on turn 4, and honestly, they just took the control and stuffed it into their deck, so oops. And then the control decks are unstoppable. You can't play anything against them, so oops. So they kind of messed up what they said they were going to do, which, like I said, they said they were going to reel in control and make sure it's not completely insane. They said they never want to go back to draw go back in the day, which is what they called, a certain deck type where it would just counter everything and then win with like 1 creature. It would literally not let you play Magic. Like you just, here, cancel this. Here, have another spell. Here, have another spell out of my hand. Here, this is going. Should I just put it straight in the graveyard, or what do you want me to do with this? It was not so fun from what I've heard from people. That was not a fun time for anybody in Magic, and so all the staff is like, yes, we cannot go back to that. Aaron Forsyth said it, Rosewater said it, everybody said it. Well, here we are. So that's what really pisses me off the most, is it's so not friendly to new players too. I mean, and it's like even less friendly to like longtime players. I mean, it's just so bad. I mean, just imagine that. Like, some player shows up to F&M, they've been playing with their friends, super casual, everybody's enjoying the new mechanics and having fun and modding their decks and tweaking them and enjoying Magic the way it was, meant to be enjoyed. They're not sitting there copying frickin' tournament lists off the internet. They're just like, oh, I want to build whatever I want. Oh, this is fun. I'm going to adapt it. This is kind of like chess, except you get to change the pieces. This is so super cool. It's honestly like an MMO or an RPG. Or an MMORPG, where you get to like customize your gear and your attack set and your spells and all that. It's like such a cool game. And then you go to F&M with like your green energy deck or just what, some subpar thing that's real obvious that somebody would build. And they're like, yeah, I'm really confident in this. I crush my friends. And then literally not 1 permanent stays on the battlefield for more than 1/2 turn. Like, that's, you're gone. Every single spell gets countered. Anything that makes it to the battlefield gets removed immediately. And you just get like shut down, like off switch shut down. Are you coming back to F&M after that? Hell no, you aren't. I mean, if you just go up, like you bring green energy and you go up against somebody running white, I don't know, like some with, white angels or something, something really powerful, a lot of first strike, a lot of combat superiority, literally my combat superiority deck. And, you get crushed. You could be like, oh, okay, well that, I see they had better creatures. I could mod my deck. Maybe I could build something like that in the future. That looks simple enough to run. But nobody could come out of it with a good opinion when 100% of their spells fell apart. That's why they don't want control. You could be a 10-year player or a 10-day player. Nobody enjoys that. Every single time that Standard goes control heavy, they lose players, and they lose a lot of players. So since they've been trying not to lose players lately, but also maintain sales, and then they went like nuts on the power level, oops, they've slipped into control hell, and well, it's going to be pretty grim for the next couple of weeks because, like I said, they cannot ban their way out of this. There's too many things that they'd have to potentially ban, and then if they just cut the head off of control, it's going to be just infinite combos that nobody can stop because there's no control left. So, I mean, what do? Ban literally the entire block. I mean, I feel like they might not do that. I have a feeling that that might not be realistic. So feel free to not believe my prediction for what's going to happen in like 1 week. I'll be sure to screenshot it and include it in a future video. Seriously, leave that comment. I dare you. I wish I wouldn't have deleted all the super rude comments on my initial reviews of Aether Revolt where they're like, you're overreacting. And now we see it and everybody's like, oh my God. Just wait for the tournament results too. It's not going to be as Sihili Rai heavy as you think. Not from what I've seen. I heard some rumors. I've seen some decks. I've seen some, some on the DL kind of information. It's going to get worse. I assure you control is going to take over, although literally every single deck but Delirium is control, and even that one and Snakes seem to run quite a bit of removal, and if they don't, it's in the sideboard. So fair warning, just wanted to let you know what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, the rumors, the decks, the X-Mage, everything all put together. It all points to Standard meta going straight to hell. Just unplayable control OP hell. This is Esper Dragons all over again. So get ready to play Commander Casual, what did I call that one? Giant Leaders? Woo, very dedicated to my format I invented. I almost remember the name of it. You can honestly just take all the Aether Revolt cards, put them on a cardboard board, and play, darts, throwing knives. You'd probably get more enjoyment out of them that way. Maybe burn them for warmth and fuel. So if you've been playing Standard, you've been playing online, you've been keeping up with what people are saying is good right now and what people are winning with, and you still don't see the direction this is going, like, you are one of the worst players I've ever met. I mean, like, Helen Keller can see where it's going. So please, if you disagree, leave that comment down below because everybody's telling me I need to do a comment comeback video, and I think this would be a fun opportunity. And now everybody's going to leave sarcastic, clearly fake troll comments. Which is actually funnier, so feel free. I'll see you guys next video.